Good afternoon, panelists and the sign language interpreters. My name is Nathaniel Mudomi. I'll be the moderator for this session. So we are having a forum to discuss lived experiences of persons with disabilities in public transport. We're giving perspective from Kenyan experience, because this is a conference that aims to inform issues to do with the practice and policy. So your inputs into these discussions, will be highly appreciated. So to start off with, I would like to introduce our panelists. The first panelist is Colleen Zombatio. He is a youth with the lived experience of albinism and low vision. He holds a diploma in marketing and BA in marketing management, Makerere University, and currently pursuing a master's in project planning and management. He has over 5 years experience in disability advocacy and mainstreaming. He has currently been on the mainstream media discussing issues of political inclusion. He is currently supporting or working with Action Network for the Disabled and also partly with Light for the World, and previously worked with Albinism Society of Kenya, United Disabled Persons of Kenya, and the Culture Network. The next presenter will be, panelist is Jane Miano, who is a co-founder of Focus of Disabled Persons based in Resambu, Nairobi. She is a wheelchair user and also aging at the age of 72. She uses wheelchair as a result of polio that she experienced at the age of 8 months. She is an activist for the rights of persons with disabilities and older persons with disabilities. Then the next panelist is Maria Angeli. She's an inclusion expert and living with cerebral palsy. She's a graduate from the Africa Nazarene University with a Bachelor of Community Development. She founded and runs the Maria Angeli Foundation that impacts the lives of people with cerebral palsy in Kenya. She has previously worked with other organizations like Down and Cheshire and Disability, a member of DFID Youth Advisory Panel, and a disability inclusion facilitator with the Light for the World. So she's also working with Collins in that organization. Violet Kagai has an amputation as a result of road accident. She's 32 years of age. She has a diploma in business administration and very passionate about advocacy for disability. She's working as administrative assistant at Association for the Physically Disabled of Kenya, APTK. The next panelist is Brian Oguma. He has an experience of being blind and lawyer by profession from the University of Nairobi. Currently, he is an advocate trainee at Kenya School of Law, meaning he's still a student, but working with KSB as an intern computer instructor. He teaches computer at Kenya Society for the Blind. He is a secretary of Access Network mentorship initiatives for young professionals with visual impairment. And yes, then our other panelist is Ira Ishmael. He's deaf. He's a chairperson of Kibera Deaf organization that works closely with us, Action Network for the Disabled. It focuses on capacity building, health, and civic education and sports, that organization, where they empower youth who are deaf with the necessary trainings and skills. So he is giving us a challenge that we should equip ourselves with the basic sign language so that we are able to speak with people who are deaf. So that is the introduction. We'll go now to the questions maybe as you start off the discussion, we can tell us your name once more. Brian Oguma will be the first one.
Yeah, thank you.
Please tell us your name. We hear your voice.
Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, Brian, we can hear you.
And can you see me?
Yes.
Yes, I'm Brian Oguma, the Secretary, Access Network of the Blind organization. I believe that is Access Network of the Blind you are describing there. I got disconnected for quite a while before I rejoined. Perhaps I can get that confirmation from you. Was it Access Network of the Blind you are describing?
Yeah, I was given your background, your identity. Yeah.
Yeah, all right.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. That is who I am, Brian Oguma. Currently, I work as the intern computer instructor at the Kenya Society for the Blind. And I'm also an advocate trainee at the Kenya School of Law. That is basically who I am. And I took part in this research about transport and persons with disabilities. And my input in this research was to give the perspective of blind persons. As a blind person, I have been a regular user of public transport, and the experience there is what I shared during the research when information were being sought. And
Brian,
yes,
I'll be asking you some questions. I wanted us just to hear your voice by yourself.
Okay, sorry.
So that is okay. Yeah. Yes, you participated in the research. So I'll be asking you some specific questions. And to start off with, would you consider public transport a good mode of transport that you regularly use?
Certainly, yes. It is a good mode of transport that I regularly use. I would consider it a good mode of transport.
Yes. Why? Why do you say so?
I say so because majority of Kenyans and of citizens, part of whom have disabilities, find that to be the most appropriate, mode of transport for them, given its affordability, given its convenience, and mostly because of the cost. The cost is relatively low, so that makes it the most appropriate in those circumstances. So yes, it is a good mode of transport.
Wonderful. So in terms of, we have, during the research, we reported some of good and not so good experiences.
Yes.
Could you share one good experience and one bad experience that you ever had while using a public transport vehicle?
Yeah, certainly. Let me start with the good experience. The good experience is that I am able to use, a small amount in fare to get to a place which I would have otherwise spent a lot had I used alternative means like say Bolt or private means. So for me, that is a good experience. Even with my disability as a blind person, I can get from home to work and back using the same amount of fare ordinary people who have no disabilities would use. One bad experience is that, given the low levels of awareness among matatu operators. I use matatu among matatu operators. It sometimes become challenging psychologically to even communicate with the matatu operators, because the language used there is not the language that is disability friendly. You are perceived as someone who is likely boarding the matatu, expecting that you will be transported from point A to point B for free. So whenever I board the matatu, that was in early days, and sometimes even today, they would often ask the person taking me to board that matatu whether I have the money to pay, or they will ask that person who is it that will pay for my fare, but they will not ask me directly. I think I don't know why. I don't know why. So it is like being visually impaired also comes with inability to express myself. For me, that is an attitudinal barrier that causes stigma, which is not very encouraging, and it really it inconveniences me in terms of psychology. That is one bad experience.
Thank you so much, Brian. Have you faced any harassment while using a public service vehicle? In Kenya, we call them matatus. That is the most common name. So if you hear somebody say matatu public service vehicle, it means the same. So have you been harassed before? I mean, while using a matatu, Brian?
Yeah, the form of harassment I would point out happened in form of, there was a day I was going somewhere. I can't quite remember where that was, but on reaching my destination, I expected the conductor would assist me to alight from the vehicle and go and stand at an appropriate location, at a location that will be suitable for me, that will not expose me to risks as I wait for the person with whom I was to connect. But unfortunately, when I got to my destination, the conductor would not assist me. The conductor would, have me alight the vehicle, and then, call someone to assist me. Then that someone who was told to assist me turned, I don't know whether the right word to use is violent, but the point I'm trying to drive at is that the person who was, asked to assist me was really causing me too much discomfort. He was shouting at me, "You move at this direction, don't you know where you are going?" and those kind of things. So for me, that was a harassment that was initiated by the conductor, because I believe he, as the matatu operator, having agreed to assist me alight the vehicle and get to where I was to wait for the person I was supposed to connect with, was supposed to be the one to assist me and not give me to someone else. Yet that is not something we had communicated about. So yes, although harassment has not been occurring regularly. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that experience, Brian. You have noted that we have good things about public service vehicles, one being the costs and being able to take you wherever you want to go. But you have also noted some bad experience with, the first one was the issues of attitude, where people imagine that you cannot hear because you're blind, and therefore they start speaking on to people who are near you instead of you directly. So that is attitudinal barrier, and they imagine that you will not be able to pay, and then you've experienced somebody who was mishandling you. So thank you so much for that, Brian. We'll come back to you on the recommendations. The next panelist is Colleen Zombatio. Kindly, just a brief about just your name and something that I missed about you, then I can ask you questions. Karibu, Colleen.
Thank you very much, Nathaniel. I bet I'm audible.
Yes,
Hello.
yes, we can hear you.
Thank you. This is Colleen Zombatio. Apparently, you captured majorly most of the details about me. I've worked for a number of organizations purporting disability inclusion, started with inclusive education and went ahead to social and social accommodation of persons with disability projects that were targeting involvement of women with disability in development making processes. I've also been implementing activities that influence inclusive employment, and this is targeting employees with disability and even making employment environments safe for persons with disability. I've again been implementing an activity project on inclusive elections. This targets the 2022 general elections, and we want to bring out persons with disability to participate in these processes. So that's all about me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Collins, for that. Collins was also part of this research that we came up with. We have a report done by, on behalf of Flown Initiative. So, Collins, are you a regular user of public service vehicles?
I'll say yes, I'm a regular user of the public service vehicles.
Yeah, I'll also ask you to share one good experience or the goodness of matatus or public service vehicles, and also a bad experience that you've ever encountered.
Well, basically in Nairobi, I'll talk about my experience in Nairobi because I've majorly been staying in Nairobi. Matatus are effective. You can bet that you can't miss a matatu the moment you arrive at the boarding station. That is majorly the stages. So I can say the effectiveness, and they are a bit cheap compared to other means of transport. I may have a car, but again, the expense I might want to use on the car will prompt me to use a matatu if the errands are easy.
Good. So the issue of reliability.
Yes.
Good. So give us one good experience that you ever experienced while using a matatu, and also a bad experience, other than now the normal one of reliability that we've talked about.
Well, good experience. I'd say some sort of discipline is being injected in the matatu industry. Not all circles. I'll be particular about some circles that inject some sort of discipline where the passenger is dignified. I mean, you are respected, and you are the services are okay. This I'll attribute to some specific circles in Nairobi. But again, a lot has been said about albinism, a disability that I have. It has ranged from myths, misconceptions, and fallacies that persons with this albinism have a probability of making you famous if maybe you are a politician, and even making you rich if you are a businessman. This has led to killings of persons with albinism. So this has not, the talk has not ended. And annoyingly, you'll hear maybe touts speak ill of albinism when you are on board a matatu. Mark you, these are elderly persons speaking in the presence of maybe children who have boarded the matatu, or even some people who have no knowledge about albinism in the same matatu. So I many a times encountered this. I've also had many people with albinism speak about it whenever they are boarding matatus. The recent case that I heard of a friend with albinism who was trying to board a matatu at railway station, bus terminus. The touts were shouting at her, at the matatu staff, not to allow her board because she is spreading corona. It was attributed that the initial stages when COVID-19 came about, persons with albinism were accused of being carriers of the virus because they're associated with maybe foreigners. So it didn't go well. Persons with albinism were facing rejection to board matatus, were facing derogative languages all over, which didn't even allow them maybe to interact socially and comfortably the way they were used to. So yes, that is the negative experience I've seen in the public sector.
Yeah, you're talking about people thinking that when you move around, this is we can transform you into quick money. I think that is
and that has happened a lot.
Yeah, and they speak in your presence. So that kind of attitude is quite disheartening and quite dehumanizing. Now, Collins, when you talk about we have had people being left at bus stations. And during the research, we have a figure of around 60 of the participants. They said at one time they have never been left by a matatu because they find someone with a disability being, a burden. What do you make out of that?
Well, I've also experienced the same. Not once, twice, but not as a person. I was in a group of friends with disability. I interact a lot. I have a lot of friends with disability. And many a times we might decide to work together and do public means. So at a stage, I was supporting a wheelchair user. A matatu came about that I thought could accommodate the wheelchair plus us because the wheelchair was foldable. But again, when the driver was trying to slow down in an attempt to stop, to pick us, the conductor actually told the driver to move on. They have no space for us. Yet, while I was looking at the matatu, I saw it was like half empty. So it could accommodate the wheelchair plus us. So I don't know his perception per se, because personally, I was comfortable supporting the wheelchair user to board the matatu. I was not looking for any other support. And the wheelchair user could also maybe hold some other places as we move in the matatu. It didn't go well with us. Again, this happened a way back while we were still schooling. And we were in a group of like say 7, all students with different types of disabilities. So we had a visual, those who are totally blind. We had those who were using crutches, who had a physical impairment. Myself, we were going out for social interaction in town, at a joint in town. So it was a bit late at night when we were done and were moving back to our hostels. So we opted to board a matatu that was totally empty. A tout came about and stopped the driver from supporting us board, asking who would accommodate our fares, like literally thinking that persons with disability do not pay fares or are poor to an extent that they request for free transportations. We, all of us, the 7 of us, didn't take it easy to an extent that we stopped the tout from boarding the same matatu. We told the driver that we are paying the full fares of the other seats. And again, we are not going with your assistant. You'd rather find another one, or we go the way we are because you'll take us to our destination, which happened. The driver understood and he told the tout to remain behind. So that acted as a good gesture. But again, there's still more to be done.
So Collins, you are reporting a case of discrimination by staff who are operating the public service vehicle. And you decided to teach the tout or the conductor a lesson, so that next time when he sees a person with albinism, he doesn't treat the same way, because he thought probably he could not afford paying for the fare. So thank you so much for the experience. We'll come back to you for more on the recommendations. Now, next, we have Jane Miano. Jane Miano is an elderly person who is using a wheelchair, a lady. Can they greet us, Jane?
No. And now, right. Jane Miano, as you hear, I'm aging with a disability. And so you can experience, you can expect my experience to be a long term, now being 72 years. I don't know, I'm also a coordinator of a group called Focus of Disabled Persons, but also doing a lot of activism, especially on the rights of those that are aging with disabilities, kind of realizing that disabilities get worse with the age.
Now, thank you so much, Jane, for that introduction. I know yours is a very unique experience because you are wearing two badges. This research we are doing was, we were both doing for persons with disabilities and also the elderly. So with those two badges that you are wearing, how different or how unique is your experience when using public service vehicles?
Maybe first of all is to say, right from the beginning, my mother would have to carry me to get into the public vehicle, right? So you can imagine a big girl being carried and the mother is squeezing to get in. And of course, when you get in, the space also to accommodate the two of you. But then when I started walking with my crutches, I experienced difficulties because one of them was the impatience of the drivers, maybe conductors to some extent. But I do remember one time I fell off because the driver started off the bus, the Kenya bus, before I got in and settled. And to date, the arm that was injured, the left arm, became a drop hand. So I cannot reach my head using the same hand. And that was a bitter experience. That's not to say there have been some good people who have offered to help me to get in. But one of the things that I have experienced now as an older person, because there came a time when my hands could no longer hold the crutches. And so I'm now using a wheelchair. And when you are at a bus stop, like one of us has said, the matatu driver is wondering just how to put you in, because you have to be held up from your seat into the vehicle. Is that door wide enough to accommodate? And you, the one who is coming to hold you, I'm saying there are good ones, some of good ones, who want to ask you, where do we hold you? Because you can't hold my hands. I cannot board. The hands are already injured. So some, I have told them exactly where to hold me, below the breast, so that I can get in. And of course, it is a little embarrassing, and they are a bit shy. But the big question is, when you get in and you are on a wheelchair, where is your wheelchair going to be kept? That's a major problem. And so I realized it was difficult, and until I went out somewhere in an outside country for a conference. Then I came back not feeling as bitter as I was before, because you are expecting the matatu man to stop, but where do they keep your wheelchair? Yes, at one time, because I do a lot of disability awareness in the community, I had an occasion and I had asked people to donate wheelchairs, and a young girl was brought from Thika by her father to get a wheelchair. Unfortunately, it was not foldable, and so they put it up on a matatu. And at Thika, the vehicle veered off. And what happened? The wheelchair got broken. So you can imagine that girl. Then another time, we hire a matatu to take us to Langata to bury a young girl who had passed on, who was mentally, intellectually incapacitated. But what I realized is that when we got in, my wheelchair was put in the boot together with the spare tire. And so they kept it on my wheelchair. And what happened? A new wheelchair, which I had been given by Rotary Club in Nairobi, was broken. So when I go to my house, you can imagine, how do I get into the house? Little experiences, bitter ones, but also realizing while we are faulting our matatu and bus operators, there is a lot that needs to be done.
Now, Jane, thank you so much for that experience. I think everyone, depending on the disability they might be living with, faces very unique challenges when using public service vehicles. And in the research, we found out that there's a difference when it comes even to transportation, the fare, that you as a person who is using a wheelchair, it might be different from any other person who doesn't have a physical challenge. How true is that? Because you need to carry your wheelchair, you need somebody to push you around and aid. And all these people, and you must pay for the aid, you must pay also for the wheelchair in case there's no space in the to keep it.
Yeah, I'll give you one good example. As I said, I'm a community volunteer, and what happens is that ladies, because there are many ladies, parents of children with disabilities, would come and they want to know how their children will be assessed for school and so forth. And even having looked for assisted her to get a wheelchair for the young girl or boy, the next thing would be to take that child to KISE, Kenya Institute of Special Education, for assessment. And you know, the surprise is that mama would get to a matatu stage and she is told, you will pay for your fare and also the fare for the matatu. And do you imagine, one time I had given her 20 shillings, 40 to get to KISE and the 20 to come back. And she came back. I can't go. Why? They tell me to earn the fare. And what I did, I became a bit, I was annoyed about it. So I think I moved with her and I was kind of telling the matatu man, why don't you pay for your feet first? Because this one is using a wheelchair because she can't use her legs. Then how does she pay for that? So such occasions have also been there where you offer, if you must go, use that matatu, then one seat will be for your wheelchair, and the other one will be for you, and the other one will be for the one who is helping you. Like I often go with somebody. So can you imagine all that?
Thank you for that, Jane. So you are confirming that you can. Very good.
I'm here. Yeah, hello. Thank you, and thank you for having me here today, and thank you for the contributions of the other panelists. Very insightful. So just a little bit more about me is I work under the Angeli Foundation, and in that work with caregivers of children and adults with different impairments. So even in my contribution, I'll even touch on the perspective of caregivers and the experiences.
Yes, thank you so much, Maria and Jerry, for that experience. Now, as a person with the cerebral palsy and having lived with it, how has been, I believe at one time you have used matatus. I don't know whether you still use them, but how has been, you might have been blessed by your personal. So how has been your experience as a person with the cerebral palsy in terms of, you know, you can also tell us good things, bad experiences that you've had with the public service vehicles.
Interesting enough, I still use matatus, and I sometimes opt to use matatus because my first experience with matatus when I was in high school, and my mom used to take me to school every morning and pick me up in the evening. And one day we decided to have a go at the matatus, and my school was in Westlands, and I was coming out the way from Kikuyu. So the first time was a bit scary because having cerebral palsy, I have mobility impairments. So I'm not so fast, my balance is a bit off, and I also have speech impairment. So matatus has been a journey of understanding each other, but it has also helped me a lot in gaining my independence as a person with cerebral palsy. Some of the not so good experiences I've had is a good one when the matatu is in a rush and I can't run, I'm not fast enough. So by the time I get to a matatu, either they get off before I'm on, or if I have one foot on and it moves. So I've fallen a couple of times because of that. Another terrible experience is because of my impairment. People look at me and assume. So I've been treated in a very stigmatizing way because they assume I don't understand where I'm going or what I'm doing in the matatu in the first place. So you find it's usually, as Colleen mentioned, they talk behind their back and they're making comments and they're there, and they generally assume that you shouldn't be in the matatu. So this can also follow up, like they think I don't know how much I'm supposed to pay. They think I don't know where I'm supposed to alight. So there's a lot of stigma in the matter, especially with the conductors. It's a lot of stigma that needs to be addressed. For caregivers, there's also an issue about experience where, when a child with CP has, for example, drooling problems, or they have a challenge with their head support, their physical support. You find a lot of managers refuse to carry the caregivers, or even when they carry the caregivers, they give them a hard time about it. Either they say they are notifying them matter to a funny thing, but stigma is very much alive. But
Thank you.
even as we speak about stigma, I want to mention one thing. I find with time, we have come to find my space in the matatu. It's not accessible, it's not inclusive, but a good example is when the matatus I use frequently see me, they know you need to stop for Maria to get on. Maria needs to sit at the front. Maria needs this kind of service to be able to go with our matatu. So I also find the public transport is willing to learn and is willing to accommodate people with cerebral palsy and their caregivers.
Thank you so much, Maria. That is really a powerful experience that you really, and also yours seems to be very unique in its own right. And I know you also represent a big population of children and adults with cerebral palsy. So we've heard about condescending attitudes that are coming out because of having a cerebral palsy. People imagine that you are confused, don't know where you're going, they start spitting you and such. So thank you so much for that. Now, Violet, you are the next. I would like you to share with us your experience with even crossing the road, from where you work. We found out that there was a challenge with the crossing. You live in, your office is located next to a highway and so many other barriers. So you can talk about the barriers that you face as a person who is an amputee in accessing matatus and also in terms of the roads, and maybe any other challenge that you found that is really disturbing to you as a person.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Violet Kagei, and I'm an amputee due to the road accident at the age of 7 years. That is during my childhood. I work for APDK. For those who know APDK, we are the suppliers of assistive devices for persons with disability all over the country. Well, my experience with the matatus, I can say, matatus are good, yes. To me, I can say matatus are affordable, yes. But now I find the challenges sometimes being overwhelming. Like you said when crossing, most of you knows where PDK is along Waiyaki Way. And when it comes to, yes?
Let me cut you short. Could you kindly?
So thank you so much. The next panelist is Violet Kagai. She works with APDK. So Violet, I'd like you to share with us the experiences as a person who is amputated, because we want to understand how challenging is it to access matatu terminals, especially now that we know where you work, it's along the highway, and you have to cross from one side of the road to the other one to access the office. And maybe any other experience that you've had when accessing public service vehicles. Thank you. Welcome, Violet.
Thank you, Nathaniel. Like I said, my name is Violet Kagay. I work for APDK, which is along Waiyaki Way. Things here at Waiyaki Way are just hectic for persons with disability, being that there is the ongoing construction of the road, where, like I said, for me, my first encounter on the road was at the age of 7, where I was in my auntie. According to my card, when a truck, when the small car was trying to escape being crushed by the truck right back in Nakuru. So that is why I'm an amputee. And for me, as an amputee, on the road sometimes it's very difficult to cope up with the speed of the matatus, especially like when crossing here along Waiyaki Way. You find that the pavement that persons with disability we used to just cross across ABC to APDK, but due to construction, there's no clear way of the way you can get to APDK. So it is a challenge to persons with disability, because when you look at the way you are supposed to rotate all the way from that side, the spot we used to use up to where APDK is a challenge, because sometimes you are forced to take maybe a motorcyclist who will charge you like even 200 shillings just to cross you over. And that is a challenge. You see, it becomes expensive. Another thing is that matatus, I find it hard coping with the speed in terms of when I'm alighting or boarding the matatu. I will share one encounter on my way home. On reaching my stage, the matatu toads could not wait for me to alight. They couldn't cope up with my speed, with my pace. They don't go with my pace. So when alighting, the driver just stops a little bit, doesn't give you time to take your time so that you can alight well. And that resulted to me falling down. And by the time I try to get up, the matatu is already gone. I'm in bruises and no one there to assist me. So those are some of the challenges I face on the roads as a person with a disability.
Thank you, Violet. The other issue, other than that one of connecting one side of the road to the other one, and we know matatus are always in a rush, so they want somebody who is fast enough, yet you are not. That is one challenge. Another challenge that another person reported with a mobility challenge, I think using a wheelchair, a crutch, is connecting from one bus station to the other one. For example, in downtown, when you're coming from Langata and want to come to Westlands, and you have to connect a number of bus stations. How is that experience? Because I know even the speed of walking is not really that fast, and sometimes it's raining, and sometimes there's so much congestion. Sometimes the pavements are not good enough. So how is that experience?
For me, okay, from the experience of my colleagues, it becomes a challenge because sometimes the matatus just decide to drop you where not really at the stage, but a distance from the stage. And at that time, you find that somebody is using a crutch, that person cannot hold an umbrella. So you find that if it is like raining, you experience that challenge of being rained on up to the time you reach your destination.
Thank you so much for that, Violet. You can see there are unending challenges, and also depending on the kind of challenge that you have. You can see how different Violet's mobility challenge is different from that of Jane Miano. Jane is in a wheelchair. Violet is an amputee with an artificial leg, I suppose. Is it so, Violet? So you can see their challenges are a bit different, though related in terms of mobility. Thank you so much. Now we go to the next panelist, and that is Ira Ismail. Unfortunately, we were not able to get his photo. So Ira Ismail, are you there with us? Ishmael is the next person, he is deaf. So I think he's trying to be helped so that he connects. Good, I can see Nancy is supporting him. Welcome, Ishmael. Can they greet us with your name again?
Interpreter, we can't see the interpreter.
Hello, you can see?
Yeah, we can see you. We are waiting for the interpreter to tell us what Ishmael is saying.
Thank you very much. My name is Ismail Mohammed. That is my surname. I'm from Kibera Deaf Association. I am the chairman of that organization. Ours is to help the deaf person, especially the deaf people, help them succeed in this life. As you know, most of the time we are forgotten. Excuse me a bit. I would like to, wait. I don't know if you can see me, but yes, that way, the camera. Now I can see clear. It's okay. Thank you. Good. It's good. Yes. We do advocacy. Yes, I can see you well. Okay, thank you. We do the advocacy. We cooperate with other organizations. Where we try to help the deaf person. We care for the deaf. And in that organization, I'm the chairperson. So it's a forum where we help the deaf persons.
Thank you. Let me ask you the question now, Ishmael. I've noted it is Ismail and not Ishmael. So how different is an experience of a person who is deaf compared to other persons with disabilities? It could be helpful.
Yes, as a deaf person, you know, you have to go to a special school where maybe you'll get the deaf there, where you'll be trained as a sign language, you'll be trained on sign language to help you communicate. Because, you know, for you, you can talk, you can shout, you can do everything, but for us, we have to learn sign language so that we can communicate.
Now, in terms of using matatus, how different is your experience? Because we have seen some here that have been time left, at times they are not being handled well, at times they're being talked badly of. So how is your experience as a person who is deaf?
About the matatu, we have a problem. That is true. You know, those people, they don't know sign language. So they'll talk to you, expecting you maybe to respond to them. But when you remove maybe a paper or a pen so that you can communicate, you will even find out that these people, even they don't know how to write. Or maybe whatever they write, you will not get it. You know, maybe it might be sheng or something, but you'll not get it. So sometimes it's hard, really hard.
Let me ask you, thank you so much. The issue of language barrier is real because not so many people understand sign language. So have you one time been, you know, your destination was a certain stage, but they go to the next bus stage because there was a communication barrier? You know, they don't alight you to the stage that you wanted. Have you experienced that because of communication barrier?
Yes, many times, many times. We face those problems. Like when you ask someone, I would like to go to this place, the matatu person will say yes, they let you board, but when you want to alight or maybe expecting to go to that destination, the matatu will just change. So you end up even paying twice, or maybe you'll feel bad, or that of course, because now you'll have to look for another plan to get to your destination. It's really a problem for us. And also, you know, when you ask this person, maybe, okay, where you are like, you try to explain to a person that I would like to go to this place, I'm looking for this place. The person who you are trying to contact will not understand you because of sign language barrier. That's what we feel, and it's not good at all. We are not accommodated. Sometimes you'll get someone who will maybe assist you, maybe using the local sign language. Maybe they'll assist you, although maybe it will not be okay for you, but you'll feel you have been assisted in a way.
Good. So is there a time when you have been left at the station because they're not able to communicate with you?
Yes, I remember there was this time I was somewhere studying, was waiting for matatu. But, you know, I have now to ask the driver, the thought about, I had to explain to the person where I want to go. So upon asking the person, the conductor just realized that I'm deaf. So they had to go. They did not assist me because I think because of communication barrier, I don't know, but they did not even just try to understand what I was trying to tell them. You know, I was not begging. I wasn't begging for free. I had the money. So I don't know, I don't understand what happened because you know, I was just asking for direction and I wanted to go, but they couldn't allow me to get inside.
So I think the issue of attitudinal barriers comes in again. So thank you so much, Ishmael, for that. We'll now go to, thank you for sharing your experiences about the issue of language barrier, you know, and that bad attitude from the public. But just before, maybe another question, Ismail, is that, you know, there were some people who are reporting that when we are seated next to a person who has a disability, sometimes people move away. They don't want to sit next to such a person. I don't know if you've experienced that. The other passengers.
Yes, this happens so many times. You know, there are those who are afraid of it. There are those who will see you and they like even to sit next to you, just that you can try even to teach them sign language as you travel. Some will try even not even to, you know, look at you. Just the minute they realize that you are deaf and you can't communicate, they'll even move. They don't want to sit next to you. Most of the time we try, if you are going for a long distance, we try to look for a friend if it's possible, so that you won't get a bored or, you know, to make the journey interesting. But sometimes when you have to travel alone, it's a bit challenge. Yeah, it's a bit challenge because not everyone is good. Because we have so many people, some have positive attitude and some are negative attitude.
Thank you so much for those experiences, Ismail. So I'll go now to the recommendations. We start again with Collins. What do you think we can do about the issue of you know, attitude and stigma, because it's becoming today a big challenge from the public, that is from the rest of the passengers, and also from the, you know, public operators, public service vehicle operators. So what could be done so that we address this issue?
We have.
Your network seems not steady.
Thank you. I bet I'm audible now.
Okay. And also your
Nathaniel.
video. Yes, we can hear you, Collins. Make sure also your video is stuck.
My audible?
We can't see your video. It seems it is stuck. Maybe I should try to correct that. Can Maria and Jerry try to respond to that question? Collins will come back to you. Maria.
Yes. Well, the first key step to fighting attitudinal barriers is.
Am I clear now?
Yes, you are.
Okay, Collins, let Maria start, then we can come back to you. Maria, continue.
Okay, so I was saying the first major step of fighting attitudinal barriers is through awareness, yeah? And this, looking at the medical sector, is now coming to understand how and where can this awareness start from. And basically, like in our communities, coming from our culture and our unconscious biases, it will be quite difficult to each public conductor or the driver in creating awareness. So maybe it can form inclusive collaborations as people with disabilities and organizations for people with disabilities, and work with the Matatu circles work with the town council and the city council that and maybe this is a dream or an idea, but if we can get the circles to be trained and to be taken to awareness about people with disabilities, maybe it can be reflected in the drivers and the conductors. Remember, if we want attitudinal change, it should not only be the law to be accessible and inclusive, but it should be also the right thing to do. And another thing I keep on thinking about is understanding people with disabilities as the customers, because as much as it's much more work to accommodate me in your matatu or in the public transport, the fact is I'm paying for the service. And that is as much of importance as someone else without a disability. So
Thank
it's
you.
just, yeah.
Thank you, Maria. You've raised very pertinent recommendations, Maria. The issue of collaborating with the DPOs and the Matatu circles, the government agencies, so that you sensitize them on how to become responsive to the needs of persons with disabilities, and looking at persons with disabilities as any other customer, because they're bringing business to the Matatus. Thank you so much. Now, Jen Miano, I would like you to talk about the issue of accessible roads and accessible bus stations. Just one or two recommendations.
I was first of all going to say, even as we come to the roads, because we need policies, I see government, the crucial part is to put in place enabling policies, which they will guide the manufacturers of the vehicles.
We can't see your video, Jen. We can't see your video.
Oh, nothing? Okay. And now? But it is
not
open.
yet.
Hey. Start my video. Can you see me now? Oh, no. Not yet.
Not yet,
Yeah.
but just keep on.
Yeah, I was going to say it is necessary for the government to put in place enabling policies which would guide the manufacturers first of all. I realized that when I told you I went somewhere and I was able to get in with my wheelchair seat, get to something I can hold, and also a bell which I'll ring when I get to my destination, when I near my destination. And so I realized until the vehicles are equipped to accommodate me with my wheelchair or have an accommodation where for my wheelchair, then things may not change much. The other is there has also to be well done. Sorry?
Too short. Yes, that is enough for you, so that we can also hear from others as time lapses.
Okay.
Collins, would you add something on issue of accessibility of PSV Matatus? Jen has talked about policies that are guiding the manufacturers on how to make accessible PSV vehicles. So what about in terms of roads? Because it also has a relationship. If the roads and the public, bus stations are not accessible, then things might not be good. So what recommendations would you give around that?
Thank you very much, Nathaniel. Thinking away from our commuting processes daily, there's a lot that our roads need to up so that they be accommodative to users with disability. Many a times when roads are being constructed, manholes are left open, waterways are not covered. So there's a challenge even to not only to wheelchair users or even those who use crutches, but again, those who are blind. Maybe somebody might want to take a walk alone, not necessarily being guided. One can use a white cane that can identify barriers and easily notify actually the user that yes, there's a barrier here or something that can hinder your movement. So thinking there's need the Kenya Roads Authority, Kura something, and Kenha to collaborate with organizations of persons with disability for ease in bringing forth accessible roads for all users. I'm again seeing some construction along Thika Road that is meant for the bus rapid transport, BRT something. The footbridges are being readjusted to a pave way for that. I've not seen any readjustment that targets users who have a disability, those on wheelchair or those on crutches. The best way to approach such designs is to do universal designs where all users, disability notwithstanding, can be appropriately accommodated. So if the Roads Construction Authority can focus on this, it will aid a lot in maybe destruction of already existing structures that are not accommodative. Because, you realize that disability inclusion is not a favor. It is a right as enshrined in the various legal documents, the Constitution, the UNCRPD, the Disability Act. So we are not begging for this. It's something that needs to be done to be able to accommodate all Kenyans. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Collins, for that note. I think that is powerful. The issue of human rights-based approach when you are doing use of road construction and access to public service vehicles. Now, Ismail, is the issue of language barrier that we talked about. What do you think can be done so that the matatus remain, there's no, so that there's no more language barriers in terms of communicating?
I guess Ismail is busy something.
Oh, you cannot get him?
Oh, okay. Now he can see me.
Okay.
Okay, repeat it, please.
I was asking Ismail that he reported the issue of barriers in terms of communication, that people are not aware about sign language interpreters. So what is the way forward? What does he recommend?
Thank you very much. As I have said before, there are those who they have deaf people who are well learned, and maybe they can they have their own way of communicating. They can even afford an interpreter. But remember, there are those who cannot afford interpreter to go with them everywhere. So I would like to maybe request that when maybe you are making the road or the policy or something, maybe you can try and remember that there is deaf people who are living and they are accessing these roads, they are using them, be it matatu. So we can also create awareness about sign language, maybe for people to learn basic sign language. That will assist a lot because this will solve a lot of problems.
Thank you, Ismail. Thank you so much for that. Is proposing the issue.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I'd also like to challenge the panelists. Please also remember to learn sign language. Basic is a good thing.
Yes, that is a good challenge. Thank you so much. We take the challenge, Ismail. Now, I want to give Brian a parting shot to give us a parting shot. Maybe one general recommendation. Brian, are you there? It seems not. He's not able to get us. So now we've had very good.
Nathaniel, I'm here. I was trying to locate my microphone.
Yes.
Yeah, I was trying to. I hope you can
Go
hear
ahead.
me. I'm trying to locate also my video. Let me locate my video. Where is it? Okay.
You can go ahead even without it.
Here is it. Can you see me?
Yes, you can.
Oh, thank you. And I'm very sorry for that. So as a parting shot, I would like to give one recommendation, and this concerns the need for persons with disabilities to also be innovative in terms of basically communicating. For instance, if you know you are moving from point A to point B, and you are aware that your disability may be a limiting factor, then try to embrace technology, as I have been doing over the past few years, where I use these GPS applications to fast track my destination. Seeing as I'm visually impaired, I may not know whether the vehicle has gotten to my destination or has not gotten to my destination. But with that GPS, the screen reader will always give me regular updates of where I am and the distance I am remaining to get to my destination. That is one, and it applies. I suppose this should go to persons with disabilities with specific focus to the blind. Also, matatu operators or owners of matatus should be encouraged to always provide details to persons with disabilities of the vehicle they are traveling in, the name of the driver and the conductor, and the same be left with them, so that in the event anything happens to this person with disability, then it will be easy to follow up. And this one will also go a long way to solve any legal issues that may arise. In terms of evidence, that one will be of great help, and that will equally extend to people who have no disabilities. So it is a good measure that will not only help us realize that equality in transport, but it will also help us improve on other aspects that may not necessarily be specific to persons with disabilities. That's all I will say on this issue. Thank you so much, Nathaniel.
Thank you so much, Brian. That is very powerful. So you are calling persons with visual impairment to embrace technology, and I believe this is something that can cut across all categories of disabilities. And also, I think the government can invest in the same. And then you are calling on the issue of, keeping on partnering with these matatu owners so that we can keep on the gospel of inclusion. So thank you so much, panelists. We really appreciate your time, your efforts, and you are sharing your experiences, sharing your recommendations. So we really appreciate that. So we shall stop at that point because we've really consumed a lot of time. Yeah, so thank you so much. Have a nice afternoon. Goodbye. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you for the opportunity.
Bye.